Look at this thing. This thing's completely, not only was it no grease, there was water on it. Hey everybody, Sean here again. Today I'm going to be doing some maintenance on the KLR. It's been a cold, nasty week here in Virginia, so I thought I'd get to some items that I've been putting off or neglecting a little bit, which is primarily the suspension area of the bike. Today I plan to remove the rear shock, rocker arm, the swing arm, plan to lubricate all those associated bearings and sleeves, and then lastly I purchased a new spring for the shock absorber from Top Gun, and I'll be installing that onto the rear shock. I'll put a link in the description below for that particular shock that I purchased. Keep in mind this is not a how-to video. I don't do step-by-step instructions. I'm not a mechanic. I'm just an average KLR owner working in the garage by myself. I tend to do things out of order. I call parts by the wrong name, which I attempt to fix in the video there. And I'm generally slow at the work, so bear with me there. If you're planning to do this yourself, I highly recommend getting a shop manual. It makes it a lot easier. And also use the proper safety equipment, use a proper lift, proper safety straps for the lift to keep the bike upright and from falling over on you while you're working on it. If you're planning to do this, I found a couple good resource videos as I was researching doing this particular project. Mason's ADV has one. Good job, Mason. KLR Whisperer. And then Kenny Racer Boy also has a good video out on the same topic, and I'll also link those below. So all that being said, let's get to it. I got the foot pegs off, so I'm gonna get this thing up on the jack, get the rear wheel off. Today's the day. I'm gonna be doing some maintenance, gonna be doing the suspension linkage. I did go ahead and get a spring upgrade since I'm a heavier guy. I didn't want to use the stock spring, so ended up with a Top Gun spring. You can see there. Don't know if I'm going to get to install the spring today. Waiting on the compression tool to come in on that, but I'm at least going to get everything apart and then get the suspension linkage all lubed up. And then we'll see how it goes. First time taking off the wheel, so I'm not real sure how it's going to go. I've done it before on my V-Rod, Harley V-Rod. I've done it on my V-Strom when I had that, but I haven't done it on the KLR, so I'm assuming it'll go pretty straightforward, but we'll see. Okay, get the wheel off. Easy peasy. Not much to it. Just making sure I hung that caliper up there right. So we'll see. Hopefully the rest of it goes this smooth. I kind of doubt it will. That's just not my luck. But let's give it a try. Alright, so got the swing arm bolt out. Look at this thing. This thing's completely, not only was it no grease, there was water on it. And that's a brand new 2018, less than a year old, 2,000 miles on it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this thing up and grease it up. But you know, I was watching Mason's ADV, his video on this, and you know, I was like, well, how hard, you know, how bad could it be? And it's pretty bad. Should have listened, thought about this sooner. Mason, thanks for that video. You're a KLR whisperer, my friend. But yeah, so that's, I can feel put my finger in this hole here where the swing arm goes through at the very bottom, or the dog bone bolt there at the very bottom, and there's water in there. So it's definitely in need of some grease. So I'm going to be, it's a good thing I took this apart. I'm going to go ahead and get to work on that. Yeah, gonna move the swing arm off. I've got it jacked up right now. See if I can get the swing arm out of there and then get the dog bone out. I think it's called the dog bone. Whatever, the suspension linkage. Somebody will correct me. But, alright, more in a minute. Oh, UPS man's coming. Love it when a plan comes together. Hopefully he's got my suspension compression tool. Alright, swing arms off. I misspoke a second ago when I said that I had the swing arm bolt out. I did not. I had the lower suspension linkage bolt out. This is the swing arm bolt. Yeah. And as you can tell, it's pretty bad shape as well. So swing arm bolt, the lower suspension linkage bolts up there. I'm going to get that cleaned up, get this one cleaned up, get the dog bone out, get that cleaned up. Then take the shock off and upgrade the spring. Lube it all up and put it back together. So I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I started this. I'm actually having fun doing it. And you know, given the condition of these things, it seems like it's pretty important to go ahead and get them lubed up. So off to do it. Alright guys, got the dog bone off. It's a little dirty, but the actual racers themselves, sleeves don't look bad at all. No scoring really per se on them. So they look pretty good. So I'll just clean those up, grease them, try to get everything back together. So far so good. I had a breather hose or exit hose come off of the airbox and I couldn't seem to locate where it's supposed to attach, but I got it figured out. So I'll probably clean up the swing arm, put a little grease on that as well, and then button everything back up and then do the shock. Got the shock off here, so you can see that. I got stuff everywhere, but yep, got my trusty Diet Coke. That'll get me through. Okay, I've been incorrectly referring to this piece as the dog bone. It's not the dog bone, I'm sorry, that's the links. This is the rocker arm. I got it out. I'm having a hard time getting it back in, but I think I know the trick. I'm hearing from the wide world, interwebs, that I have to loosen the frame bolts, or the engine mount bolts there, that pinch that joint together. So I'm going to try loosening them, not removing them, but loosen them a little bit. See if I can get that thing back up in there. I didn't want to force it and jam it in there. But having a hard time getting that back in, so I'll go ahead and see if I can get the rocker arm, I'm notorious for using the wrong nomenclature, back in. Alright boys, so as you're going to put the rocker arm back in, see this bolt right there where my finger is, this guy. See right there, that one, that's the lower engine mount bolt. If you loosen that just a little bit, it makes getting this bad boy in much easier, because it's tight fit down there. So if you loosen that bolt, that thing goes in a lot easier. Probably out too. I kind of persuaded it out of the way with pried it down by hand and by moving it. But if you loosen that bolt, you're likely to get have a better go of it. I just torqued it back up. I think it was 32 foot-pounds, something like that. So I'll torque back up that now to go ahead and get the swing arm back on and get the rest of that, the dog bones, linked back up to the rocker arm and get everything back together here. Okay, got the swing arm back in. You can see I use a jack stand there to help line things up. Again, I should have just left it loose, but loosening that lower engine mount bolt makes this part easier too. Alright, swing arm's back on. Everything's torqued down as far as the swing arm bolt and the rocker arm bolt, so that's all back together. So now I'm going to turn my attention to the shock. Alright, you might have seen at the beginning, oops, I got the Top Gun middle of the road one there. Not the real heavy duty one, but the middle one for me. It showed up quicker than I thought. So what I did was, I was going to get a Harbor Freight spring compressors. You can hear my dogs in the background. But the auto spring compressors will not work on this. You just can't get, well, at least with a new one, you can't get it, the teeth in there around it. So they're designed for a much larger spring. So what I had to do is I had to make an emergency order on Amazon for a motorcycle set of them. I just got them like as I was working here. So they showed up just in the nick of time. Let me finish up the job here. I can't seem to open these. Here we go. No fancy box. Oh well. I didn't get a fancy box like RONC did. Bummer. Okay, well, they're here. So I'm not going to film this in case you know, these things shoot off and poke my eye out or something stupid. But gonna get to work on the spring. All right, just about done. Shock's done. It's going on 6:30. It's a school night, so I got to get ready for work in the morning. But here's what I got done so far. Shock is done. You can see that, which is kind of cool. Wasn't as hard as it looks. These things worked fine. You just got to remember to keep the wrench, the crescent wrench, up high on these, so or it'll bend. You see the one time I missed and bent it a little bit, but other than that, I didn't feel like they were going to slip off. I didn't feel like the spring was going to pop out of its out of the vise and hit the ceiling or anything like that. So that worked out pretty well. I'm going to just leave everything here for now. Take a break. Come back to this tomorrow. It's getting late. But overall, it's been pretty cool so far. I've really enjoyed the day. Just wrenching on the bike, and this is the first time I've done this. So I imagine the next time I do this, it'll be much quicker. But really, overall, it was a lot of fun. So I'll keep going, and I'll show you the finished product in just a minute. All right, she's all back together. All the tools put away. Certainly the first time I've had the bike this far apart. It wasn't bad overall. I mean, I've done this kind of thing before on a V-Rod, and my V-Strom, I had it not quite that far apart, but apart. So overall, not a horrible experience. I see why people say these things are pretty easy to work on. They're straightforward. It is. It was actually enjoyable for the most part. As I got into the home stretch there, it was a little bit, you know, kind of wanted to just get it done. But I'm going to go back in the office and kind of talk about some of the key points that I did. Definitely this is not a how-to video, obviously. So, you know, I'm not a how-to video kind of guy. Just wanted to keep you guys updated on what I'm doing. And I'll talk about some of the finer points in here just in 1 second. Alright guys, so that ties it up. That's about it. I haven't had a chance to test ride the bike yet. As soon as I do, I'll let you know how it goes. Everything seems to be put back together. Everything's torqued. No leftover pieces, so that's a plus. If you're going to do this on your own, just take your time. It's not that bad. You just make sure you have enough time to do it, and use like I said, use the right safety gear. Loosening that engine bolt was really the key to making it a much smoother job. It does recommend that in the shop manual. I found in real small letters in one of the steps. And then you know, just make sure you get yourself that manual. It makes a huge difference. As usual guys, if you made it with me this far, I appreciate it. If you found any of this stuff useful or at least entertaining, please consider subscribing if you're not already. And make sure to hit that little bell so you get notifications next time I upload a video. As always guys, appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.
And that's all I have to say about that.